One of the most engaging series of 2020 was the first season of Arya, directed by Ram Madhvani on DisneyPlus Hotstar. An adaptation of the popular Dutch series Penoza, we saw Sushmita Sen marking a return back into the Hindi space after close to 10 years. Not only was the series lauded for its gripping screenplay, but everyone was floored by the dynamic performances of the cast, especially Sushmita Sen, who seemed like she hadn't stepped out of a film set or had any kind of hiatus. I personally was deeply impacted by Ram Madhvani's adaptation skills of transporting the same series and storyline to an influential family in Rajasthan, and how slowly and steadily the skeletons of the Rathore and Shekhawat household come under the scanner of various police officials and the drug cartel. With the second season of Arya really splitting audiences between either preferring the first season or being equally invested in the turn of events, I'm really curious to know what were your thoughts about this season. Give your honest take in the comments below and let's discuss the same. I definitely fall in the category of being absolutely invested in the second season. The concluding moments of season 1 showcased Arya's brother and father and Uday Shekhawat going into custody under the case of being essential players in the drug cartel. Arya being one of the main reasons why they end up behind bars. The 300 crore consignment of heroin to the Russians ends up in the hands of the police and eventually leads to the death of Uday Shekhawat's son, played by Manish Chaudhary. In all of the madness that takes place and fearful of the security of her family, Arya is provided a gateway outside of India and lands up in New Zealand. The second season involves Arya being instructed to return back to India in order to testify against her family as she is a prime witness, and as she returns back to the home base, how everyone is after making her life a miserable hell. The madness that transpires as she returns with her family back to India basically forms the premise of the second season of Arya. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the series so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch it on DisneyPlus Hotstar or not. The underwhelming aspects. Demands patient viewing. This season, just like the previous one, probably even more so, demands patience from the viewer. This series is a slow burn that spends ample time on subplots that you may think do not really develop or progress the screenplay of the series, but help in the growth of the journey of several characters in the story. The reason for the frustration among the audience this season is that everyone over a period regarding any show has their favorites and characters that they absolutely find irritating. So when a show wants to expand on a character that you might find boring, the viewing experience becomes laborious and tiresome. I'm not really a fan of Aru, Arya's daughter, and her teenage angst that seems to be projected in every scene. She is a character that is acting out as she is still coping with the death of her father. There is a lot of time spent on her journey in this season, which helps in giving us an insight to her growth, but it shifts focus from the momentum of the show and the interesting aspect of the series, which includes Arya's attempt to circumvent all the threats to her family. I understand the intention of the series is to focus on depression, substance abuse, and the rehabilitation, but the oscillating journey can definitely test the patience of a viewer. Other subplots that include Khan's crumbling relationship, a khichdi date that really doesn't translate into anything, slows down the series' narrative, but I have to say that this is extremely fleeting and doesn't dampen the exhilarating pickup that the series has in its latter half. I was worried for the same but pleasantly surprised on how beautifully the series picked up to focus on its core. I genuinely think that the series is getting unnecessary hate for its slow pace, which shouldn't be the only deterrent for you to dislike a series. The character arcs essentially demand for you to be patient as the payoff is beautiful. The good. Background score and songs. One of the main reasons why I absolutely fell in love with season 1 of Arya was its inventive integration of vintage Hindi music in its narrative. I was worried while watching the first few episodes of season 2 that the same theme was not being followed. An element that brought a much needed unique charm to the series somehow was just scrapped. But I had a sigh of relief as the series gets back to its roots probably after the first 3 episodes. I realized that just like Arya returning back to the country and assimilating again to the sheer madness that exists around her, the journey of the series is similar, slowly getting back into the thick of things just like Arya's character. The feeling of nostalgia with Bade Achhe Lagte Hain, the integration of classics like Yahoo as the family rejoice and partake in a celebratory dance. My favorite of the lot has to be Kishore Kumar's classic Nakhre Wali that plays as Arya is reveling in the pandemonium. The irony that is fleshed out through the music of this series is brilliant. The hummable, melancholic tune that plays through most of the emotional scenes, and the intense Tandav-like song that plays especially in the latter half of the series develop the much-needed ambience of a thriller that elevate the quality of this season. atmosphere, and character arcs. I have to say that one of the main reasons why I liked this season was that I understood the intention of the creators and why they were spending so much time with individuals. It was essentially because these people are going to be a part of our journey with Arya in the future as well. So having an idea of their personalities becomes important, so much so that some seasons actually have to go in depth with certain characters so that their decisions in the future make sense or compute in our head as pragmatic, and so that the audience can have empathy or sheer hate towards any of them, as at least there is context regarding the same. Many popular shows that go on for many years always have a season that spend a lot of time on individual characters so that their arcs and the journey that they embark upon has the audience invested. And I think season 2 is essentially that. A lot of people criticize the second season by stating, why is Arya all of a sudden scared now? She left like such a badass confident woman in the first season. But after a hiatus of 1.5 years and constantly running from threats and now being pushed into the trenches, it is almost inevitable that one would take time to retrace where they left off. And I think the journey of season 2, especially through Arya's character, it tries to capture exactly that. I think the journeys of Sampath, played by Vishwajit Pradhan, and Hina, played by Sugandha Garg, are the most engaging to witness in season 2. Great casting and moments. I am absolutely blown away by how perfect everyone is for their roles. It's almost as if these characters belong in this world in Rajasthan. Other than probably the public prosecutor, who I found unintentionally hilarious this season, her antics and character quirks were something that just seemed to be from another universe in my opinion. I don't know whether it was intentional or not, but I was mostly laughing through her scenes. Other than that, I think everyone has nailed their roles. Even the little Adi has such beautiful moments in this season that I was genuinely taken aback by their grounded performances this season. There are several moments that stayed with me and solidified in my mind the intention of season 2 to make us root or absolutely detest characters. The claustrophobia that Arya feels as she gets cornered by the lawyer and officer to confess, Arya who puts on a brave face in public but helplessly breaks down in front of her friend Maya in the kitchen, Arya's grown confidence as she gets interrogated by Khan, and Hina's outbursts knowing very well that Sangram is on the verge of self-destruction. All of it makes for a cocktail that showcases brilliant performances, which brings me to the last point. Standout performers. I think everyone will talk about the dynamic and intense performance of Sushmita Sen. She really has sunk her teeth into this role. She balances both the warm and maternal instinct that Arya showcases in her personal life and the rigor and bravery that is required outside of her humble abode. Several scenes of balancing both aspects of her personality needs a vessel like Sushmita Sen, who effortlessly shines this season. Her journey and arc really invested me. Seeing her break through the red cloud of color during Holi as a tune reminiscent of Lal Kaptan's Tandav played in the background made the entire journey and this character something that I would love to see in future seasons. The possibilities are boundless, and that's why the season stands out, as it makes you excited for what's in store later. I have to say that from the supporting cast, I absolutely loved Vishwajit Pradhan as Sampath and his character's journey this season. Ankur Bhatia as Sangram shines as the unhinged and reckless little brother who is the cause of his own downfall. But for me, the show stealer this season is Hina, played by Sugandha Garg. What a journey this woman has had from Jaane Tu Ya Jaane Na. Her performance and the pitch of it is something so tricky that it can easily border on being overacting, but she hits the note exactly on how it should be and shines this season. I understand the criticism that season 2's pace is getting, especially compared to season 1, but trust the intention of a creator like Ram Madhvani so that audiences are crazily invested in what transpires from season 3 in Arya's life. I definitely fall in the category of being entertained and invested on what lies ahead. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about this season. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.